Hey everybody, welcome back. Next episode. Today, I think we got a good one for you. We are talking about nonverbal communication. With well, really it could apply to dating, it could apply to job interview, your friends, people on the street. I mean, it's got lots of applications. So Daniel, how you doing, man?
Hey Shane, what's up, bro? Yeah, nonverbal. Most people think that communication only happens with your mouth, right? When you're using words and
Mhm.
expressing ideas and thoughts, but we forget that a lot of how we communicate and what we communicate comes from our posture, our energy, our body, right? Our body language.
Tone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that that's pretty interesting, and that's why I consider nonverbal cues and communication very important in
Mhm. Mhm.
communicating and expressing and
Yep.
expressing, expressing yourself the way you want to. And I think I read somewhere that 80 to 90% of what we communicate comes from our body movements and the body language that I was talking about. So it's more corporal rather than verbal.
Yeah. I think we've all seen the statistic where it's like 7% is actual the words, the rest of it's the body language and tonality, how you say it, your face, all that. I mean, I don't know if the numbers are correct, but they can't be that far off. I mean, it really is. And this applies
Mhm.
to, for example, for the guys out there who want to go approach that cute girl so at the coffee shop. What you say doesn't really matter that much. That's why pickup lines don't tend to work typically. I mean, they can. It just depends on. It's really how you deliver it. If you got some good energy, you're confident, you got a good vibe, you're smiling, you got
Mhm.
your head back. Almost anything you say will probably at least get her attention and get her to talk to you, and from there you just see what happens. But because you could have the best line in the world, Daniel, if I came up to you and I'm kind of like hunched and I'm like looking all weird and looking down, even you'd be like, what's up with this guy? Like you're gonna feel weird and probably want to walk away. How do you think she feels? Like she's not gonna feel good. And yeah, good luck with that. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like what you said there. It's how we communicated our our tonality, how
mm-hmm,
confident we are when we're saying what we want to say.
mm-hmm,
And it doesn't really matter how good the pickup line, how crafted it is. If you're not
mm-hmm.
saying it correctly or with confidence in your words and with assurance in what you're saying, then it's not gonna matter. And nobody's gonna want to, listen to what you have to say. But if you seem convinced, if you seem um, confident, then everything changes and it's a better way to communicate. Definitely.
And guess what? It actually has other benefits too. So for example, I was at a potluck barbecue thing a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working on my body language myself. Again, like we've talked about, Daniel and I we're constantly working on ourselves. We're both works in progress ourselves. So I was talking to people, both men and women, and I would catch myself. I had kind of a closed body language. I had like my beer in front of me as opposed to just on the side. Or I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
slouching. I tend to slouch sometimes a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
would catch myself and literally just kind of stand up straighter. And guess what that does? It makes you feel more confident. Even if it's just kind of like a placebo or just short term, it does work. And I felt more confident. So, and you'll look more confident too.
So
So,
posture then.
guys, yeah. So, guys, just imagine like there's a string pulling you up. I've heard of a trick. I've never tried it. You can put like a piece of tape on your back. So, like when you start to slouch, you'll feel the tape kind of pull on you. And that'll
Mm-hmm.
kind of be a reminder, like a hidden reminder to stand up straighter, don't slouch, and keep your hands out, kind of have a wider stance, talk with your hands,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then talk slower, move slower. I mean, take up, like for men, take up space, you know, like reasonably, of course. But, if you're sitting in a chair, kind of spread your legs a little bit, put your arms out a little bit. If you're in a booth, you can put like one arm on the table and like one arm kind of the side. I've done
Mm-hmm.
this on dates and it does help. So, yeah.
Wow, Shane. Yeah,
What?
you basically touched on a lot of the things that I was about to say.
Oh, still your thunder.
B-
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
but it's really important to remember all these things. And sometimes we don't remember because we are so caught up in, saying the right things,
Mm-hmm.
and that we forget that our body, our energy, plays a big role on how we are communicating with other people.
Yep.
Particularly for me, just coming from a martial arts and dance background,
Mm-hmm.
all those practices have helped me a lot in how I communicate with others. And, English is not my first language. And so I feel like because I became confident in, all these other activities, all these other sports, I somehow gave myself more confidence to even sound better in a foreign language,
Mm-hmm.
and even in my native language too. So
Mm-hmm.
everything gets affected just because you work on your posture, you work on your confidence in the way you communicate with your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so that's something that I wanted to mention. And I think that it's important for us to always be mindful of how we are communicating with, our subtle moves that we use when we're um, talking to other people.
Yeah, and that's all good. And I thought about a couple more things, and this can go with anybody, but especially if it's like if you're a man wanting to talk to a woman, make sure you keep some good I don't know, maybe 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet at first, when you're first talking to her. Unless it's like a loud venue, maybe that's a little different. But for the most part, give them space. Don't crowd their space. They're not going to like that.
Hmm.
If you see them backing away or something, then you're too close. Another thing is the trick of where your feet are pointing. Have you heard that trick or that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, and so another thing you can do, especially if it's like at a bar or maybe like an event or a party, whatever it might be, kind of don't just approach a girl maybe head on, maybe do like a 45-degree angle or even like side to side and kind of talk over your shoulder like this.
Hmm.
That's a lot less invasive and a lot more casual. And she'll be a lot more receptive to, talk to you. And then if it starts going well, then you can kind of give her your attention and that's fine. Or if she starts giving you attention, then you can kind of mirror her. Is always just in general, mirror people and watch
Hmm.
their feet. That because a lot of us, all of us have, like in poker, you have a tell, right? If you're lying or something, we all
Hmm.
have tell. And so
Hmm.
if someone is like looking away and like their feet are pointing away, they probably don't want to talk to you. I mean, that's just the way it is. So just try to be more cognizant of those cues and respect people's space, and it'll save you a lot of time and heartache too, and trouble.
Right. Yeah, to me, it's kind of funny that we're trying to remember all these things because, I mean, there are a lot
Yeah,
of tips that we just, mentioned.
yeah,
Eventually, what we want is to get to a place where we can just be that type of person that is
mm,
always displaying all these nonverbal, confident cues.
mm,
And in order to get there, you need a lot of practice, and you need to be, um, I mean, you need to be mindful of all these things at the beginning.
Yes.
and be deliberate. But I think that the point is that we don't have to always try to be. I mean, I'm trying. What I'm trying to say is that it might come across as something that is not real, and we are maybe just pretending. But to an extent, we need to fake it in order to embody it later on. Fake it till you make it, right? So I guess the the idea is to get to a place where we don't have to think about it and we just do it because
Yes.
it's second nature.
Yes. And that takes time. And I'm glad you mentioned something. You're right. We've kind of thrown a lot of stuff out there. Um, a good way to do that is just focus on one thing at a time. Maybe try to see what is your biggest, maybe the thing that you need to work on most. So, like for me, it's probably my posture.
Mm-hmm.
And so really focus on that, and do that when you're out, just at the coffee shop or taking a walk or talking to your friends or family. It doesn't matter. Just try to be aware of it and you start catching yourself. And yeah, eventually it will just become second nature, natural, and you'll correct your posture, with your muscles and everything too. So, and
Muscle
then
memory, yeah.
muscle memory or work, or if you, I don't know, if you get too close to people, that's probably an easy thing to fix. Just whatever you think is too, is appropriate, just take one step back further and you're probably good. So just focus on your biggest one or two things and just focus on those, and then
That's
that
really cool, man.
yeah. And then you can either go down the list if there's a lot of them, or you can just focus on one or two, and right there will probably make a huge difference. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man, that you broke it down like that.
yeah,
And I'm reminded of this quote. How do you eat an elephant? Do you know that quote?
one bite at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds a lot, right? It sounds it sounds crazy to remember all these things and all these behaviors, but you don't have to like know them all right from the very get-go. You can
Hmm.
take your time and learn one at a time, and eventually you'll just have it and it'll be second nature.
Yeah. And another thing you can do is look at yourself in the mirror or record yourself or ask people that you know and trust that they will not hurt you, but be honest with you. So close family, close friends, maybe coworkers,
Mm-hmm.
mentors, whatever, neighbors, and ask them, what do you think of this? Or, just get feedback from people, because we always see ourselves different than how we're seen by the world. So I feel like getting feedback is always an important thing too, in general. So,
Yes, that's another good reminder, bro.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Most people, I mean, nobody wants to get feedback from anyone. We don't like people telling us how we should act or
What's wrong with
what we
us?
should
Yeah.
do. And so I think just by being humble enough to ask somebody for advice or
Mm-hmm.
some uh, um, feedback, maybe suggestions on how you should, not how you should. See, I'm trying to, eliminate that word from my vocabulary, but how you have to act, and just if you need to change your posture, like Shane was talking about, then start working on that first, and then move on to how you maybe maybe your tonality is not very good, so just start working on that, second, and then what else? The uh eye contact. That's another big one that we haven't
Oh, yeah.
really talked
I'm glad you.
about.
Yes, eye
Yeah,
contact.
yeah. So like there, in fact, there are a lot of things to cover, but one at a time is definitely a way to you know, go over it.
Thanks for bringing that up. Let's talk about eye contact for a second, because that's actually it's probably the biggest one of them all, and we missed that one.
I know,
I've
right?
actually struggled with it myself. I've actually gotten some feedback on that. I had a mock date a few years ago, and the girl said, "You did a lot of things well." The only feedback she had was that my contact eye contact was a little too intense at times,
Uh-huh.
which honestly surprised me a little bit. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought I was because you look down, you break eye contact, right? But I guess it was just a little too much. So that's kind of a weak point for me as well. I try to work on that. What do you think about eye contact? Like, do you have any thoughts or any have you got
Yeah. Oh,
back
yeah.
on your eye,
Big
good or
time,
bad?
bro. Big time, big time. Eye contact. I never really cared for it when I was younger,
Yeah.
but
Oh, okay.
I consider eye contact to be really important for
Mhm.
any type of communication, for dating, for communication in general. And
Yeah.
so one thing that I used to do and I still do today is that I hold eye contact with people that I encounter, in my day to day.
Mhm.
So and and yeah, so I this was just first it started as a practice, as just for fun. I would see like, oh, I'm just gonna hold eye contact with every single person that I pass by today.
Mhm.
Uh, and I would do that every day, and it's fun, when they look back and they are not, some people they would look away and they don't hold it with you, but then every now and then you find people that are gonna hold it and challenge you even to
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so but and it's so funny because everything is you know like the communication is happening and but no words are being said, and so it's so subtle, but that you can feel the energy from the other person just by making eye contact, and you can feel whether they are coming from a friendly place or sometimes it's more like a challenging place that they want to challenge you and they feel like threatened even, but that's their problem, right? But yeah, so it gives you confidence basically if you practice this enough and you become self-assured that you can look at somebody's eyes and hold eye contact, then you start developing this internal confidence that makes you more like makes you more charismatic, makes you just a better communicator in general. And
Yeah. More
so
trustworthy. Well.
yeah, so yeah, I encourage people to do that often. Try to hold eye contact, try to
Mhm.
just see it as a game at first, and eventually you'll just become the person that is not afraid to look at people and communicate with them, because that's I mean when you're holding eye contact, you're communicating with them whether words are being said or not.
That's true. Going back to the whole nonverbal stuff and going back to our last couple episodes, really last two episodes, the more you do something, the better you'll get at it, the more confident you'll get at it, and the less scary you'll realize it's not a scary thing. It's not going to kill you. That eye
No.
contact is a normal thing, and you'll get a lot more confident with it, and you'll know when to use it, how to use it, when to pull away, when to engage again, and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, man. So again, it's so many things to remember. And even I, like I suggested this topic today to
Mhm.
just talk about nonverbal communication, but I didn't realize that there were so many things that
Yeah.
we would have to cover in order to really give you, you know, uh, all these valuable insights about how we need to communicate when we are not using words. And so, but I think Shane really broke it down for you guys. He gave you a lot of, practical tips, and if you can start using the one that I just gave you about eye contact, just just do it for fun and see how long you can hold this eye contact with other people. And it just, like I said, see it as a game, and then you can maybe take it to dating, to the dating scene. When I hooked up with a few girls just because I was making eye contact with them. We didn't have to say anything, but just because they held the eye contact with me, I knew that they were into me, and it was easy for me to roll up to them and be like, yo, let's make it happen.
That's so true, man. I can see that happening, especially in the right circumstance, the right atmosphere, situation. And if you are projecting that nonverbal, well, confidence, if you will, that's that's what's going to work for you. And again, this can work for you in a job interview if you're trying to make a new friend.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a tough conversation with somebody, it doesn't matter. Um, but that was all good stuff there that you just said. I know we've given a lot of stuff, but I want to give a nice, easy final tip and point.
Mm-hmm.
Eye contact is eye contact is good, but a good thing to pair with that
Mm-hmm.
is if you're walking down the street, doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter who it is, give them a smile, just a nice, simple smile, and you'd be surprised
Perfect.
how many people will be receptive to that, probably return it to you, and I mean, who doesn't? I guess unless you're in a really, really bad mood or something, most people are going to like that, and women are definitely going to like that if you're a male, and if you're a woman, do it to a man. I mean, you might make that person's day, which may sound silly, but you never know. So yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
like the best way to combine all these subtleties, these
Yes.
cues,
Yep.
is to just to have the eye contact, add up the smile and maybe a nod while you're looking at them. And yeah, like Shane said, you probably made that person's day just because, they
Mm-hmm.
felt acknowledged, and they felt, you know, um, yeah, they felt recognized by you doing that. And so, uh, good for you guys. If you start implementing these tips, I think it
Yeah,
will
and
help
again,
you a lot.
yeah, don't feel overwhelmed. These are all things that we can do, and just pick one thing and just do that for the week, and then pick another thing for the next week or whatever it might be, and just focus on those. And if you have to, practice in the mirror, practice your posture or your smile
Hmm.
or even your eye contact in the mirror, or like I said, with someone that you trust and feel comfortable with, and then you can take it to the real world. So
I think that one of the reasons that I started dancing was because I wanted to become better at communicating, not just with my words or my
mm-hmm.
eyes, but also with my body. And so now that I think about it, I think that's why I like dancing so much, because I don't have to really say much, with words when I'm dancing, but however, I'm communicating so many things when I'm dancing with somebody else, especially partner dancing in
Yes,
particular.
yes.
You don't
Oh
have
yeah.
to say anything, but you're saying a lot when you're dancing with somebody else. Is like the perfect example for nonverbal
Yeah.
communication, like having, a partner to dance with. And that's how you know whether that person is, in sync with your vibe, just because you're flowing, right? When on the dance
Oh
floor,
yeah.
you find people that you're very compatible with right off the bat, but you
Oh yeah.
also, you might also find the opposite, that people are not very compatible with you, and that's fine, but see, that's how you filter out, these type of people, or these type of women in our situation.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, now that you mention it, that's one reason I love dancing as well, because it's like a whole language upon itself. And 99% of it's nonverbal. It's all with your vibe and your body connected to them with partner dance, and how as a man you lead the woman, as a woman how you follow the man, and what he's doing, and if he's doing his job, it's easy
Hmm.
for her, and yeah, like you said, you can just sometimes it just clicks, and it's so perfect. So
Right.
yeah.
I think that's why, I mean, we've been doing this for ages, ever since caveman days. We resonated to music and to dancing, and
Mm,
so it's innate in us to connect in that way. At the end of the day, all these tips and strategies we're giving you is about making connections with others, and
yes, yes,
and just finding the right people for our lives and the right community. And so hopefully you can implement some of the ideas that we've shared with you guys today.
Daniel, my man, this has been great.
Awesome,
Any
bro.
any final thoughts you want to give the people?
No, bro, I think we've covered everything. Like I
Yeah,
said, start making eye contact, start taking some dancing lessons. Doesn't have to be salsa, it doesn't have to be uh oh no, tap dancing. Whatever works for you, start there, you know.
yeah,
Like, there I mean there's so many types of dancing that you can try, whatever resonates with you.
yeah, yeah. Just try one thing and see how it works, and you can tweak it, and I bet you'll be surprised with the results. So, yeah,
Yes, and the moment you start focusing not just on the words but in the other types of communication that you have available, paradoxically you get better with the words, too. So everything works,
yep.
together.
And then yeah,
So
that's well said. Yeah, the words will probably flow because you'll be a lot more comfortable and at ease and confident, and everything's seems to just fall into place at that point.
exactly, exactly.
Awesome, Daniel. All right, everybody, we can wrap this up for this week. We will see you next time.
See you next time, guys. Bye.